Hi there, welcome to the next episode of the Banter Blitz with me, International Master Andrey Ostrovskiy. It's been a long week since we played last time. So as far as I remember, 1 week ago my main problem was being too slow, so I've lost several games on time. Well, tonight I'm going to improve a bit. Uh, hopefully, I will be a bit faster. Still being more or less instructive. So let's see how it works. Anyway, we have some challenges already, and I'm going to look at the list. What do we have here? Again, pawn holder. Nice. So it becomes a great tradition to play against pawn holder every week. And Shellingfort is also here. That's amazing. So I'll have two extremely complicated games this time, for sure. So, all okay says Graf von Palin, which probably means the quality of the stream. Thank you for this information. So, I'm going to start with Shellingfort. The next game will be against Pawnholder, and then we will see. So, accept the challenge from Shellingfort to start with. And I'm playing with black pieces. Okay, let's go. Have not seen for ages, have not played for ages. Here we go. Knight f3, knight f6. d4, e6. Most likely something concrete was prepared. Okay, a3, bishop goes to a6. And now, bishop back to b7, controlling e4, and preparing c5. dc5, let me remember. Bishop c5 is acceptable here. bc5 is also a move. Let's try bc5 this time. Okay, what about knight c6? By the way, bishop takes f3 was also very interesting. My idea is to try to exploit d4 square just right now. Maybe it will not give me anything specific. Most likely it will not give me anything specific. But at least there is a pin along a8, h1 diagonal. So if knight takes d4, I take the bishop on g2, which should be quite annoying for white. So I guess taking this into account, white's queen has to go somewhere. Okay, d3 looks like a square. d1 was something I expected. Now I have a choice between just taking everything on f3 or playing knight to b3. And I think that this second option is a bit better for me than the previous one because I get a pair of bishops, which is probably not that important for now, but in the future it may be something really pleasant. So at very least, white no longer has this great chances to occupy d6. At least these chances are lower than before because there is no bishop to fight for this square. But anyway, position should be more or less balanced right now. White has a bit more space potentially. Okay, it's important to place the pieces the right way. Is there a threat of knight g5? I don't think so. I control h7 sufficiently. So I think queen b6 may be an interesting try. So just attacking b2, controlling b3 additionally, and preparing something like rook to d8. So what about rook to d8 now? I think it's a good move. Another rook can go to c8 or maybe b8, depends. At some point, maybe I will be ready to play d7, d5. That's the idea. e4. Okay. So sort of the threat is to play e5. I don't think I should be afraid of this. So anyway, let's play d6 to make it not that simple. And here usually we have several ideas how to deal with this pawn structure. I think 97, 95 should be a good idea for me. 98 just protecting the pawn should be also not that bad. For some reason, I don't know why, I'm tempted to try this 97, 95. Probably it's not correct. But the point is, if white takes on e5, I recapture and d4 square. It's a very good outpost. On the other hand, after this exchange on e5, most likely all the rooks are being traded. So d4 maybe not that important at all. So who knows, maybe I shouldn't exchange all the rooks in that case. Maybe it makes sense for me to save at least one on the board. We will see. Okay, so in case of this move, I wanted to try knight to c6, in fact. Oh, knight to c4 was a great move. Oh my goodness, why didn't I take that pawn? Maybe it was a trap, by the way. Maybe it was not that simple, so knight a4 was possible. But anyway, I didn't even see that c4 was heading. My goodness. I'm so blunderish. That's not good. Now I can play e5 and knight d4. I think it's the most straightforward, and it should be just a good option for me. Why not? Why not? Now that's the question, to take with the e5 or to take with the c pawn. I think taking with the c pawn is something that looks consistent. Okay. What about rook to c8? Just exerting pressure on c4. b3. Protecting it. Okay, what about a5? Exerting a bit more pressure, maybe intending to play a4. Okay, white decided to play a4 himself. So now b3 is my target. F takes c5 is an immediate threat now. I can attack e4, I think. Okay, there is no threat. There is no threat of taking on e5 anymore, but the question is what to do next. There are different interests and ideas. I think I'm not quite ready for active operations in the center, so I'm going to improve my position a bit more. Maybe to maneuver my bishop to b6. This should be logical. A slight improvement of the bishop's position. Maybe I will even put it on c5. And then even if it is captured by the knights, okay, I'm not that against. Alright, now my bishops are quite good. They are potentially very dangerous. For example, what about playing immediate d3? I don't think it's good. Okay. What should be the plan? Let's first play rook to b8. Making knight d3 not that simple. Alright. Rook is there. Now let's play just f6. I believe it's not the best move. It's surely not the best move. But I'm somehow lacking the time, so I don't see a better one for now. So generally, there should be something connected with preparation of the f5, I suppose. just like this. That was absolutely unnecessary to give my opponent this freedom. But my opponent also gave me some sort of freedom, so this bishop on d5 no longer looks that, you know, important. What about this simple idea of bringing the queen to active position? It's probably nothing. Oops, what's that? What about this? And this? What's going on? Ah, that is what's going on. Amazing. Just blunder, one blunder after another. Very bad play. Very bad play of mine. Okay. But my opponent gives me great chances. Now I'm winning. The queen, even. Because look at this. There's pin. Yeah. Great. And checkmate here. Such a nice start of the show. I mean, at some point, I started playing not that convincing chess, but, well, in general, it was very interesting, very exciting game. At some point, there was a possibility to take on c4. Let's check that move. So I played knight e5. I didn't even see that pawn hanging on c4, to be honest. So after knight e1, why didn't I capture on c4? So knight to a4 was probably the move, but was it that dangerous to me? I mean, that is probably something annoying, right? So let's say if I go away and protect the knight, I should occupy either b5 or a6 squares, and then white has bishop f1, which is very, very, you know, very good move. Attacking knight c4, I cannot take the rook. If I play, say, but I can try bishop a6 here, maybe. Looks very strange. So what's going on after b3? It's probably lost for me, right? If I take on a3, there is bishop takes b5. Knight c2, okay, bishop takes a6, extra minor piece. If I'm not blundering something. So maybe queen a6, but that's the same now. So bishop to f1, d5, b3, same problem. Yeah, probably knight c4 was not possible. Okay, then knight c6 was more or less fine. Knight e2. And to be completely honest, here I had a much better possibility than e5. Most likely, the strongest move was queen to c7, intending to bring the bishop to f6 and then to put the knight on d4. In that situation, recapturing with the bishop. In that case, my dark squared bishop would have been much, much stronger. Okay. Yeah. Interesting game. e5 was also playable, but I guess I just limited my own resources after that. So knight to d3. Maybe here I missed another interesting chance, by the way, f5. So if takes, then takes g2 and e4 with the overwhelming position. But the point is, white is not forced to take on f5. So maybe something like rook to e2 or maybe rook to e1. I don't know what is better. Say rook here would have been absolutely playable for white. But anyway, in general, I have to try to open up a position, right? And here we're doing exactly this, trying to make this position more and more open. Having pair of bishops, it's probably the best possible strategy. Don't know. The way I played was probably too academic, so too slow. Maybe after this b3 f5 deserves serious attention. So now if rook e2, I can capture an e4, and after bishop e4 I have d5 move. Now the pawn is pinned. White also has something interesting after bishop takes h7 on the other hand. So if king takes h7 and knight e5 check, but then d3 check wins. Okay, so this doesn't work. It's a very important detail. So, don't know. Maybe here f5 was interesting. In general, I think my position is already quite good after knight to d4. So, I mean, at least I don't have problems. And I actually expected queen to d1. In this case, of course, I have a possibility to damage the pawn structure after, say, knight takes f3. But I don't think it is a big problem for white. Maybe it's harder now for white to achieve anything. So black has interesting possibilities in the center. But at least the dark square bishop is still on the board. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not so important. Maybe the pawn structure is much more important. Okay. In any case, thanks for the game. So pawn holder now, as I said before. So 2 first games will be very complicated. Except pawn holder's challenge now. And feels like white pieces again. Giovanni asks, was it an advantage because of the pair of bishops? I'm not sure I had an advantage. Maybe my opponent made a mistake somewhere around e4 move. So maybe e4 was not that cool. And after e4, of course, I got this very simple play on dark squares. After e4, I think, yeah, black's position became very attractive, so to say. Right, queen to c8. I don't really remember how to play this position, so I'll just put my knight on e2. And we'll play this. Probably not the best idea. Can I play knight b5 now? Maybe a6 was a bit more accurate. Maybe this knight b5 is just nothing. If I play knight to d6, can black just ignore it and play queen to c7 or something? It's knight e6, queen to c7 or d7. Then I take on b7 with my queen. Feels not that bad. So let's try it. Maybe I'm blundering something seriously. But for now, yeah, it looks like the way to get this slight advantage because of my bishop. I hope it will be a slight advantage. Okay, let's go away. Okay. I think black is going to put the knight on c4 next move. So let's put the queen on a4. Yeah, this is annoying. This is very annoying. But any other move with the queen was also not that convincing. It was also not that great. Because of weakened e3 square mainly. It's really annoying to take on c4, but probably I have to do that. So let's take it. I have one interesting idea after black recaptures. So now black is going to put the knight on d5, right? So what about bishop h4? Just right in time, pinning it. And intending to capture an f6 damage in the pawn structure. Yeah, I think at least I'm not worse here in this position. I was already, quite anxious about this knight d5 coming, because this d5 is an amazing position for the knight. So now black wants to put the knight there, okay. It has to sacrifice an exchange. So maybe I will be struggling because of that knight on d5, but black will pay the price for it. Rook to d5. Alright, so what about taking on f6 now? And knight to f4? Knight to f4 looks like the move that forces the rook somewhere to, you know, f5. Then taking on h5. I'm not sure that I have to give up this knight that easily. So obviously, yeah, black's bishop is potentially very cool somewhere on d3. But my knight is potentially also a very useful piece in the sense of attacking this weakened f6 or something. So for now, I'm going to keep the guy on the board for some time. Okay, queen c7 just prevented me from playing knight to f4. I think there is no sense in having the queen there on a4 anymore. But first of all, I want to put my rook here. Because if I play something like queen c2, there is a maneuver of bishop g6 and bishop d3, pinning my knight. And as I said before, I want my knight to be on the board for some time. Now, what about undermining the guy on b5? Maybe it's a slight help. But I think even if it is a help or something, it definitely helps me as well. So if black plays something like a6, I just capture on b5. And my rook starts working from the initial position. Just not that bad. Okay, let's take. Queen was hanging. Now, what to do with my pieces? Knight f4 looks good, but I think there is a better route for it. Let's try it through e4 square. Maybe queen h6 was good, but if I play queen h6, of course, there is a trap of rook h5 attacking my queen on h2. So I think knight g3 is quite useful. Covering h5. And another plan for me could be, not only, I mean, this knight e4, but also f4, f5, something like this. Who knows? Maybe it's even better than the initial idea. Let's see. What about f4? Now getting closer a bit. Okay, that is what I wanted to achieve. Now that bishop is not very cool, right? Right. But I have no time, so I have to be somehow faster. Okay, what about this move? All right, another slight achievement. But again, no time. That's the problem. How to protect this pawn correctly? I guess this way. So now my knight should get to f3. Okay. The first stage is complete. What is next? Exchanging at least one active rook. So generally speaking, white should have an advantage here. Because look at that bishop. But it's a big question if I have enough time to convert it. And there is a big probability of blunder and something having only half a minute on the clock. But hey. that is where I started misplaying it a bit. Still have some hopes because of this knight, but this is not a good position anymore, I suppose. Yeah. I guess it's over more or less. Yeah, it's lost now. It's lost. I can resign. Yeah, it was an interesting game. Again, as usual against Pawnholder. I was too slow this time. I was just too slow. Somewhere here I missed my chances, I think. At some point I had very attractive position. So probably again I played too slowly here. Maybe underestimated opponent's counterplay. And after b4, yeah, now I understand my problem. So after b4, I should have changed my initial plan. My initial plan was to bring the knight to e5, which is very sensible, right? Very tempting. That's why I was trying to prevent my opponent from playing bishop h5. Maybe that was also not necessary. I mean, this h4 action. But again, generally h4 was good. After h5, I should have played something like queen f3, just attacking that pawn. I have no idea why didn't I play that, by the way. And then simple rook f1, and then takes on h5. At least extra pawn, right? That's the first thing, the first consideration. Another idea is that after black played b4, c4 becomes weak, right? I must have played something like rook a4, I believe. Just attacking the pawn and being ready to attack c4 whenever black takes on c3, and taking on c3 will happen sooner or later, okay? And the route for my knight should be obviously not to d2, f3, e5, but again, through f1, but then to actually e3, to attack c4. So that is my target and the most attractive object of attack here. So bring the knight to e5 is great, but it's too slow and yeah, requires a lot of preparation. Bring the knight to e3 takes only 2 moves, in fact. Knight f1, knight e3. That's it. And we're already in the attack against c4. Maybe I should have played just immediate knight f1 here. I think that was the best move, obviously. So bc3, bc3. Let's say black continues in the same manner here. Just bring the rook to b3. First of all, I can put my knight even to d2, but I think it's not even needed. Yeah, I guess knight to e3 is better because from here my knight not only attacks c4 but also protects g2. Should be also a very useful thing. Okay, rook goes here. Maybe now something like rook c1 again. But look, if black plays, once again, just like in the game, rook to b8, preparing some sort of rook b2, I can also start my own attack now. Something like queen f1, going away from the second rank, and c4 is already under attack. And I don't know how to protect it, to be honest. By the way, if I manage to take it, then my knight can get to e5 finally. Yeah, that was very logical and very consistent plan for white. And again, pay attention, this bishop is out of play. Even if it goes to h5, nothing really changes. And if black plays something like rook c8, okay, I can play rook a4. That was the way to prove that white has the advantage here. Just play knight to f1, my goodness, why didn't I do that? Probably I had just not enough time to notice that the situation changed dramatically after black's b4, and my initial idea of bringing the knight to e5 gradually is no longer that promising. So there is a much better way for me to play. All right, anyway, it was an interesting game. Now back to more or less normal order of challenges. I'm going to look at the guys I've never ever played before. Let's have a look at the list again. So, Friedel, we have played. Yeah, here is the guy I've never played before, so I'll accept this challenge. There is a question: what would you suggest for beginners to learn faster? Which path to follow? Well, first of all, there is no easy way to learn chess. I mean, there is no fast track or something. So, on the other hand, you can save the time by not doing something that makes no sense for a beginner. For example, playing Blitz. So playing Blitz is an absolute nonsense for a beginner. So no Blitz games, only longer games, for instance. Then, don't watch, for instance, YouTube videos offering you some, nice traps or something. This is just a bullshit. Learn good books written by, authors that are at least grandmasters. This will definitely save you a lot of time. You should rely on, some well-known sources of information. For example, something that is published by New in Chess is quite good. Something that is published by Gambit books is also quite good. Quality chess, no questions, but quality chess is probably too complicated for beginners. So I would recommend some books from these two publishing houses. So either New in Chess, you can find a lot there, or maybe Gambit publications. Okay, so what to do here? Let's play knight e1. Knight takes e5 was possible. My goodness, why didn't I... Well, I want to ask another question. Not why didn't I notice this? Why did I notice this right after playing knight to e1? Why am I so blunderish this time? I have no answer to this question. Oh. Did you see that? My goodness, this is the worst game ever. Okay. I was too concentrated on, thinking of what to offer to a beginner, but as you can see, well, I also have to follow my own advices. That's amazing. I mean, it's just amazing. So my opponent asked me a question. The question is what to do for white here. I mean, there is check, and there is no defense. My queen is hanging on d1. I'm losing the queen. That's the thing. So I've lost the game immediately here. Oh my god. Maybe my opponent didn't even realize that he's winning the queen. I don't know, but after bishop c5, my queen is lost in d1. Oh goodness. Okay, let's forget about this game. Obviously, after this exchange on e5, I should have captured on e5. After bishop e5, just queen h5 check, and I'm winning the material. Instead of that, look at this. I played knight to e1 just to, damage the coordination between my pieces. And after knight f6, instead of normal knight to c3, or at least queen to e2, I played f3. The worst move ever. And then bishop c5. Okay, winning the queen. All right, let's go further. That's amazing. That's just the best game ever. That's funny, right? After these two nice games against Pawnholder and Shellingfort, I played such a crap. All right. Never mind. Sorry for that. First of all, my opponent, I'm sorry for such a poor game. So let's have a look Michal Palička from Slovakia, except we have never played. Question from Twyhozek, Spawn Hunter or Shelling, what was the result of both? So 50%, the one I won, the one I lost. Both were quite good. Quite interesting game, quite exciting. Okay, let's try to improve in this one. Let's try at least not to blunder the queen and move 9. You know, I don't even remember when I lost the game like that the last time. So I'm 29 years old. I started playing chess when I was 5, so I've been playing for 24 years. Maybe the last time I've lost something like this was sort of 20 years ago, or yeah, most likely. Even in Blitz. Yeah, okay. It actually demonstrates the importance of concentration. Next year, 25th anniversary. That's right, Twyhozek. 25 years of playing chess. Okay, my opponent similarly is not going to respond. So let's have a look at other challenger. So Alvin decline automatically because I'm playing only premium users. Okay. Sanket, let's play, accept. Let Me Win says, don't be too hard on yourself, it's allowed to play bad sometimes. Yeah, but there are some natural limitations to how bad it should be. That was really bad, I mean. Okay, let's forget about that game. Developing the pieces. Okay, my king is safe now. So at least in this game, I'm not going to lose my queen that easily. Position is closed, fortunately. As far as I remember, knight takes d5 is allowed here. And then c5, undermining the pawn d4. Knight to d2. Okie dokie. So knight to c6, is it the move here? In this position, I'm not that sure, but it should be that bad. Looks just very logical. Okay, one more thing about that game. So I've noticed knight e5 right after I played knight to e1, and I've noticed bishop c5 check right after I played f3. That is probably something which is, very typical for beginner players. I do remember when I was a kid, it happened quite often when I noticed some tactics right after making my move. All right, e4, I think I have some interesting possibilities. So the one is just to move the knight to b4 with the idea of occupying d3. But first I have to check if I'm not losing my knight there. So knight to b4, a3, knight goes to d3, bishop goes to c3, and then I can take on d4. I think it's possible. So I will try this move. That's a question. To take with the pawn or to take with the bishop? Definitely taking with the bishop is much more logical. Not to damage the pawn structure, to activate the bishop. But if I take with the pawn, let's say, there is another idea of just fighting for d4 square. Maybe at some point just occupying it, but still I don't believe it is a good compensation for damaging the pawn structure. So let's just take with the bishop, exerting some pressure on f2 already. d3 is mine. Bishop a6 is a threat. So some typical things for this pawn structure. Okay, now knight d3 first or bishop a6 pinning the knight. I think both are quite interesting continuations. So let's try bishop a6. For some reason, I don't know why, but it feels like an interesting option. So my idea is just to capture the knight, in fact, with the bishop, but to create an isolated pawn on c4. And if rook goes to c1, let's say, I have knight d3, or even knight takes a2. Okay, if queen here, I wanted to try this move. Again, I just hope I don't blunder something, because knight on c6 is not very well protected, but I don't see how white is gonna use it. So I'm just fighting for some critical squares with my pieces. That's the whole point here. Okay, first let's take this knight. Just achieving what I wanted to achieve, just damaging the pawn structure. Okay, c4 is weak now. Let's exchange queens. The question is how to attack c4. Let's try something very straightforward, just knight a5, attacking c4. Knight to a5, attacking c4. If I play f6, there is knight d7, supposedly. So let us start with rook to d8. Occupying the d file, controlling d7. Still looks very logical, right? Okay, a3. I have to play this. c4 is hanging again. A rook to c2, quite passive. But at least white somehow managed to protect c4 for now. My next target is probably d1 square or maybe d2. d2 is also very promising, so if rook d2, rook d2, rook d2, I'm attacking the bishop and f2. Looks like a good position for black. Bishop c3. Okay, what about rook to d1 now? Check. Let's pre-move rook to d1. Bishop goes to f1, and now I can take on c4, right? Right. I can take on c4, and a3 is also hanging. And I can take there as well. There will be... Okay, let's have a look. We have an interesting choice. I can take on b4 now. And after a b4, it will be also technically a winning position, but not quite sure. Knight d2 is not possible right now, unfortunately. If I take on a3, there's rook c5, takes c5, bishop a3, c4, in somewhere c3, or something like that. Also not entirely clear. Okay, let's just make a decision, because we have to. Oops. That was probably a bad decision. Yeah, obviously I should have captured. I should have captured on a3, I guess. Okay, we will come back to that moment in the postmortem analysis. So now my position is quite passive. I could have avoided that. Alright, but this gives me some chances, I hope. Alright, a5 anyway. a4. a3. There. Okay. There was something strange. Maybe it's just okay. So this should be winning for sure. Somehow. But again, I don't have the time. So maybe I will not win this. It will be very pity because, you know, it was obviously absolutely winning position. Yeah. Now I'm even losing it. All right. That is something tragic. Dramatic happening, actually. I completely outplayed my opponent and then just lost like a complete patzer. That's amazing. So let's come back to the moment when everything was okay. So after bishop to c3, rook to d1, rook to d1, bishop to f1, and knight to c4, everything was absolutely fine. So what's interesting, I wanted to play b5 here. My initial idea was to play b5. After king there, I somehow didn't notice, for example, rook d4 move, which was very strong. I'm still controlling the situation, and I think it is still technically winning position. But obviously there should be something much better than that. So again, my initial idea was to take on a3. But then I noticed rook to c5. bc5 and bishop takes a3. It should be winning for black, obviously, having these two strong pawns. But again, I somehow was not entirely sure it will be that easy. Obviously, if white plays king g2, I just play c3 and it's lost. It's time to resign. But what if white plays something like bishop b4 here? Rook d4, bishop c4. Okay, just take bc4. e4 is still hanging. Maybe even rook takes c4. Rook takes c4 is stronger, perhaps. That was the question from Sankit there. Okay. This position should be probably winning for black. So 2 pawns and this bishop is not that active. But I somehow was not sure entirely that I'll be able to convert it. Didn't know why. But for now, it looks very good. Very promising position for black. So again, let's come back to that b5 possibility. So there was a suggestion from Sankit to take here. Okay, just take. And oh, you mean e5? I just play c3 and you're lost. So you have to move your king right now. I don't know where is better. King f3. e5, king e3. Yeah, it may be annoying for black. So yeah, if you take on c4, I have to take with the pawn, surely. bc4, and I'm still having chances. I mean, knight e6 was just too passive. That's what I mean. So I'm just trying to actually improve my play. So knight takes a3 was probably a good idea. Yeah. Starting to regret why didn't I play that. What else? Is there any other possibility? Well, if black doesn't want to take risks, it's always possible just to go back with the knight to c6 and just gradually improve the position, just to play e5, f6 to improve the king, because that bishop is very bad. And so this position anyway should be much better for black. Okay, so there were several ideas, obviously. But even this knight to d6, I shouldn't have played that badly after that. I mean, okay, so here I think I was more or less forced to play that because there is a threat of rook c8 followed by bishop b5, which is very annoying. So this also looks okay. And even this. Alright, so I got everything I wanted, actually. But maybe here I should have played just g4. Right, that was a technically correct move, just stopping the king from getting to f3 and separating f pawn from e5, so that making e5 a real target, a real weakness. Yeah, so just g4, and instead of playing this stupid moves with the king, I'm just moving my king through g6 to f5 gradually. And there should be chances for black, I suppose. The only thing is, what about b5? What about this move? That's why, by the way, I played king f8. I wanted to stop that pawn with my king. So maybe this is already just a draw, and I overestimated my position at some point. You know, rook b4, just rook a3, right? Rook takes b5. Okay, so this should be a draw. With some tiny chances for black because of the better pawn structure, but in general it should be just a draw. All right, if I play rook a5, there is b6. I can take here. And yeah, there is... this is a better version of the previous line, I think. Rook b5, attacking that pawn. And what is here? So check, king here, rook b8. Okay, I can play something like rook b2 now. Then h5, f5, e5. Okay, it should be a draw anyway, I think. So, yeah. PT thing. Very, very PT thing. I guess e4 was too much. I think in the opening e4 was probably a playable move, no questions, but it seriously weakens d3. I guess white should play a bit more solid moves there, maybe to start with a3 at least, not giving my knight a chance to get to d3, and only then, when everything is ready, to play e4 or something. Thanks for the game. So, I suppose it's time to play a normal game after all. So is there somebody I've never played? So the guy from Austria, except. Yeah. Was it like 3 losses in a row? Yeah? So starting from pawn holder. Next game was this blunder of bishop c5. And then against some kid. My goodness, it's time to win the game. Otherwise it could have been... Otherwise it may become, I wanted to say, the worst show ever in the sense of result. Now, I know that it's really spectacular to see how I actually lose one game after another. But still. On the other hand, if you wish, I may consider this scenario of keeping on losing my games, if you want. Just tell me that on chat. Okay, let's undermine b5. So what do you want? Do you want me to win at least one game? Or you're interested in seeing me lose it? Okay. That's why probably people play bishop g5 first. Because now, as we may notice, I have some problems with the e4. So if I take on b4, black grabs my central pawn, which I find definitely annoying thing. What can I do with this? I can basically put my knight on b3 to start with, just protecting my knight on d5. Now b4 is... No, it's still not hanging, but I have some ideas connected with exploiting the weakness of a5, let's say. So if queen goes away somewhere, I have knight a5. I can also just play a5 with my pawn. First of all, I wanted to try this. Does it make sense or not? Giovanni says, it's Fuchs's fault. She isn't here to support you, Andrey. Yeah. This may be the reason of my poor performance. How do you deal with losses? Asks Let Me Win. When it is about losing a Blitz game, well, I just don't care. When it is about losing an important tournament game, well, it's different and it depends on the tournament situation, on what was actually the reason of losing the game. So a lot of different factors. The best way to learn is to lose. No, I don't think so. It's probably one of the most efficient ways, but definitely not the best. Because the best, I think, should combine the efficiency and also the pleasure. And it's not pleasant. Have you cried after a loss, Andrey? Well, when I was a kid, obviously, yeah, I did. It's just a normal reaction of a young boy, for example, when something doesn't work. And he was very interested in making it work. I don't know anybody who didn't cry at that age. Losing the game. When I was older, when I was in my teens, maybe there were some episodes when, yeah, I did cry as well. Mainly because of losing a game where I was absolutely winning for a long time. like completely outplaying my opponent, squeezing him, and then making something really stupid, wasting a chance, wasting a moment, and so forth. There are some definitely PT losses when you just are about to win, but then something happens and you don't even make a draw, you just lose. It's really stressful. All right. What to do? What to do in this position? Can I play something like this? It's just a crazy thing, but I wanted to clarify the position. Probably it was a big mistake. It looks very good for black now. So I misplayed this game too. Most likely I didn't have anything serious. But anyway, I think I could have played much better chess. This position is just very bad. Somehow I cannot concentrate today, Cannot concentrate on chess. I'm just, thinking of absolutely not relevant things. Bishop c3 was winning immediately. Now I have some drawish chances. Fantastic. Maybe I have even some winning chances, I don't know. It's important not to lose the knight. "24 seconds, guys. I think I can predict the result. Okay, at least I didn't lose the knight. Yeah, but I lost the game anyway. All right, 4 losses in a row. 4 losses. My goodness. Okay. That's amazing. Let's try something, I don't know, to break the trend. Crowningson says, "My God, 4 losses. Haven't seen that." Same here. Alright, so what about knight to e5 now? b7 is hanging. Getting the bishop at least. and pair of bishops. So position is okay. It's not a guarantee that I will not spoil it a bit later, but I'm going to focus on the game this time. Okay. So now I have two options. I can play b3, bishop b2. I can also play e3, d4, in which case my dark squared bishop will be quite passive for some time. Obviously, I will have a chance to push my pawns further at the right moment. But somehow, it feels like b3 followed by bishop b2 should be a bit more in the spirit of this position. So, let's try it. You got very distracted by chat, says Let Me Win. Okay, all these things are lame excuses. That was only my choice to be distracted. I mean, I could have done something else instead. I could have been focused on, playing the game. I think I know the main reason why I'm playing so badly this time. I've started with two very strong opponents, and I played two good games, and somehow, after that, my motivation diminished. Probably next time I will not start with that, guys. We'll see. Okay, now there is an interesting idea of just playing bishop e5 first, and then d4. This may be a bit risky, I know, because my bishop will be quite limited there. But I don't think it will be trapped. So let's see. Maybe I'm not in a rush with this d4. I can also try g4 and then bishop g3 if I want. Alright, first let's play this. Anyway, it looks a bit patzerish to have such a bishop on e5, because this square is the square for the knight, not for the bishop. Maybe after all I should have played this e3, d4 earlier, having the bishop on b2. Okay, be passive for some time, but then something like knight to e5, pushing the pawns in the center, something like that. Could have been also very promising for white. That's why Jose says very nice things. So he's focused on chat and distracted by chess. That's right. Absolutely. So this evening is about talking to you guys, not really playing chess. So here's a real danger now. There's this red of f6. So now I think I have to play something like g4 or e4. E4, yeah, looks a bit more logical than g4. But then knight takes d4, right? No, my opponent decided not to do that. Probably knight d4 was good. Bishop d4 and then something like c5. But then knight e5. Also not clear, because pawn c5 is pinned in that case. Okay. So now queen g4 attacking something. Could it be a good move or not? Not sure. Let's check if it is a good move. You can't win them all. Just keep going and it will be okay. That's correct. That's absolutely right. On the other hand, after losing all these 4 games in a row, it's no longer about winning them all. It's about at least not losing them all. All right? I still hope that you cannot lose them all. Okay, if I take on d6 now, it's interesting that black has to take with the bishop, but he's good enough. Position is not that bad. Black is ready to play f6. I have to take it into account as well. Bishop g7 doesn't give me anything. d5 is probably an interesting option here, but then ed5 attacking my queen. Queen takes c8. Knight takes c8 is even possible. So it doesn't work. What to do in this position? I have no idea. Okay, let's simplify the things. My task is not to lose, to start with, okay? So, let's try not to lose. Now, can I play d5? Probably too early, so let's centralize. My pieces first. Again, 1 minute only, so I have to play faster now and search for quick but still solid solutions. My queen belongs to the dark square, so I have a light squared bishop, so my queen has to occupy a dark square to replace the missing dark squared bishop, sorry. So maybe I'm going to play some like queen f4, queen g5 next move to control dark squares better. Maybe to transfer my queen to the queen side to c5 or a5 squares. Depends. d5 is also in the air. d4 is handy now. Can I play d5? Or should I play d5? That's the good question. Rook c4. Rook c4 is also a possibility here to protect the pawn. So, black is thinking too much. That's what I wanted to do, to regroup this way, to protect the d4 from behind. I wanted to kick this knight away, and finally bring my queen to the dark square, as I planned. f6, queen to c5. Yeah, now my position is better for sure. I can take on a7 even. Let's take it. And back to c5, extra pawn. Is it time for d5? No. It is still about improving the position little by little. Just like this. Too many weaknesses in black's camp. Alright. Finally winning the game. Oh, I must say it feels very good. It feels very good. After losing so many games. Winning a game, even like doing nothing special, feels great. So, what was wrong? I think black played okay. But somewhere here, I don't think that bishop d7 is the best move in this situation. Probably it's a bit more interesting to give up the dark squared bishops, just to take the knight on a3 to damage the pawn structure at least, and to try to fight for the pawn c4, maybe playing b5. Yeah, that was interesting. That was probably possible to play. Because after bishop d7 and this, white has a long-term advantage. So pair of bishops, better situation in the center. Black no longer has this good central pawn on d5. This bishop g2 is amazingly strong. And black doesn't have really active counterplay here. Of course, I played not the best moves after that. But in general, this position is very sad for black. And it is a long-term thing. Okay, thanks for the game anyway. Let's play Graf von Paulin. Accept. White pieces. Okay. No hurry. Improving the position. Reminds me training Tuesday, Andrey. Yeah. Sometimes it is really cool to follow your own advices. It worked well in this game. Sorry, I must root for Olaf. Right, no problems. Moreover, given my level this night, Graf has just amazing chances to win. Amazing chances. So what is the right way of playing it? Let's start with this move, controlling g4. Square. According to my experience of playing this position with black pieces, this g4 square in many cases becomes very important. Knight goes to h4. I should probably look at some games of Movsisyan. He is one of the main experts in this opening. Knight f8. Okay, knight f5. It's probably better to play after knight is already on g6. So for now, let's improve my queen slightly. b6. Okay, what about a4? Immediately trying to exploit this new hook, this b6 pawn with the a5. Or at least preparing, c4 square for the knight whenever black takes on e4, let's say. So can I play a5 here, or it's just a stupid idea? I think it's not that stupid, in fact. It's a very concrete move. With the idea of taking on b6 right now, damaging the pawn structure a bit. Separating a7 and c6. Oh, I didn't notice. After knight g6, my knight on h4 was hanging. All right. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely not my day, guys. It's something really terrible happening. What's interesting, my initial idea was to make knight g6 with knight f5, and there was a reason for that. Oh, God. Unbelievable. Simply unbelievable. It's like, being drunk. The problem is I'm completely sober. Look at my pawns now. I wanted to damage black's pawn structure. Just look at my pawns. Okay. I promise next time it will be much better. No, I will finally damage that pawn structure, The problem is it no longer matters that much. Alright, so here I will take with the queen, you know. I'm no longer that interested in damaging that pawn structure. So now I have like pair of bishops, this target on a7 maybe. What about a6? Fixing that weakness. My bishop is terrible on g2, no questions. It's just, you know, position which is very close to a lost one. But you know, I still have some hopes. Maybe these hopes will not be fulfilled. Okay, queen c3 first. I guess it is forced, otherwise knight f4 wins 100%. So I've never ever had pawns like this in my practice. Somehow, you know, avoided playing this bad. Yeah. Okay. Trying some last chances. Rook to d5. Attacking at least something, so I'm trying to compensate awful pawn structure with some sort of activity of some pieces, but obviously it's just hopeful. Right, knight g3 creating a sort of knight e2. Well, it's very good. Practical decision, I suppose, taking into account I'm blundering everything in each and every position. But I think knight e2 is too obvious to blunder it. What about just taking here? Queen takes h4. Okay, what is the main threat? There are a lot, obviously. Knight e4, knight e2 is probably not that dangerous. But it would be nice to prevent it anyway. So let's take on b5, I guess. Controlling e2 square. Okay, now the main threat is queen f2. So let's put the rook on f1. I think it makes sense. Queen to g5. What about... Okay, e3 is hanging. Have to understand that first of all. To take there is very tempting, although it's not correct, I believe. What's the best move here? Position is no longer that simple for black, I believe. Okay, let's protect the pawn this way. Oh, interesting move. If it's not the next blunder, looks interesting. Just protecting e3 now. Rook there. Okay, let's put the queen on d7, I think. a7 is hanging and f7 as well. Position is quite sharp. Okay, what is the best square for queen here? I think c5 looks not that bad. Okay, now queen to c4. Attacking the knight again and the pawn f7. Looks quite good. Looks quite good. What's going on? Why didn't I... check? Alright, I should be winning now. Okay, this is winning. Ah, we're almost there. There was a checkmate there, right? Okay, I won. That was really, like, really hard. Obviously, black was winning at some point, I do believe. So, somewhere here with such a bad pawn structure, it was impossible to survive it. Maybe there was just a much better way to play it. Somehow, like after taking here, d takes c4, in my opinion, was absolutely not necessary. It was much more interesting, in my opinion. Okay, d takes c4 is something that is really hard to criticize. It's okay. Somewhere here, there was a much more convincing way of converting this advantage. Okay, queen e7. Okie dokie. Or it goes to d8, queen here, bishop takes. Alright, h6, bishop there, bishop c5. Everything looks very logical. So a6, knight h5, queen here, takes, take. Yeah, it cannot be bad for black for sure. Something is here, I guess. Maybe instead of playing c5, just rook to c8. Yeah, I believe that was a move. Not giving me a single chance to activate my pieces. Something like queen e1 would be just awful for me anyway. I would have not played something like queen e1 for sure, protecting that poor pawn, which means you can just take h4 next move, and that's it. I mean, it's lost for white strategically, and only a miracle can help here. But there will be no miracle, I believe. The one possibility. Again, c5 cannot be that bad. After rook d5, on the other hand, I think knight to g3 was the start of the wrong strategy. So again, feels like something like rook to c8 was still very strong here. Just protecting c5 and, you know, gradually preparing this queen h4. This pawn will not go away, and activation of that knight will happen sooner or later. So knight g3 doesn't really attack anything sufficient, tangible in my camp. But activation of my queen really gave me some chances. And by the way, pay attention after you captured my pawn on e4 here. My bishop, which was just a corpse, got back to life somehow. All right. You were very close to win this. Anyway, thanks for the game. So let's play one more game, probably the last one. It's, you know, really exhausting. So Friedel. Let's play Friedel. What's going on here? Okay. I think this should be called the open curtains pawn structure with e3, e4 plus h3, h4. It should be called like... something went wrong. Something went definitely wrong for black at some point. So, sorry, not for black, for white. That was the game I was playing with white pieces. Oh my goodness. Now that the show becomes a pleasure, you're talking about closing it. Pleasure for whom? If you're talking about the audience, Zweihosex, I guess it was a pleasure right from the beginning, wasn't it? As for me, I'm really like super tired. Rook a to b1. Right, let's put the bishop on g4. For all of us, says Zweihosex. Okay, sorry for that. Well, I would say 10 push-ups for every loss, or is 15 better? The more the better, I would say. Because push-ups are generally a very good thing. You also laughed a lot. It was, this nervous laughter, I would say. All good things must come to an end. Yeah, today's episode's chat is somewhat amazing, I would say. Because, so many interesting comments. A lot of wisdom, in each and every entry. That's great. I find it really pleasant. All right, nice things. I seriously considered playing rook a to d8 here, which loses a queen after c5. The queen is just trapped there. And I must say white's position is already quite pleasant here. How is your Udacity course going, Andrey? Asks Kramnik student. So, it's actually already the second nano degree program. Full stack. This time I'm in the middle of the process, and I also attend daily courses in Bielefeld. You may be surprised a bit, but it's like 4-month training program, certified as well. So some Germans probably heard something about alpha training. So it's an alpha training. So yeah, I'm like completely inside of this web programming topic, web programming stuff. Do a lot of exercises, have some little projects. Actually just learning this stuff. Okay. Isn't black's position awful? Another question from Kramnik student. Nice. I like the way you go from one topic to another one that easily. Yeah, black's position really sucks. That's right. How Mark is doing? Mark is fine. He's getting older. Day after day. He's doing well. I love him. I mean, he's really smart and good looking guy. And more free time for the parents. Not really. Not really, in fact. As for me, personally, Mark finds it very nice to play with me whenever he has a chance. So when he's seen that I'm more or less free, of course, our understanding of freedom is somewhat different. Whenever he thinks I'm free and good enough for some play, He never misses his chance. All right, so we can notice one interesting thing. I managed to get to c4, and dark squares are quite weak in white's camp, which is also something makes me feel good. Okay, I have some chances. Maybe I will even win this last game. But you never know. What I can say for sure, I like my position here. It doesn't mean anything though. What is the right move? Let's start with the e5. I mean, controlling f4 and d4 squares, limiting that knight a bit, cannot be a bad idea for me. And now I wanted to put my queen on d7, attacking h3. Getting there would be great. Yeah. Well, I didn't notice that. Why didn't notice that idea of queen d7 just attacking h3? But to be completely honest, here black is doing great. One thing I managed somehow to calculate with this rook to d1. Here I can take on e3, which is extremely annoying. Because now if queen takes e3, I can take the rook. If king takes, I have queen b6 winning the game immediately. So rook d8, bishop takes, and now queen e3 is not possible because of bishop b6. And after king e3, I thought there would be something for me. Because the king becomes very vulnerable. I was not sure what exactly I wanted to play, so I considered something like queen a7 or queen b6. I also think that something like, queen d7 may be interesting. Attacking h3 and intending bishop b6 with a checkmate or something, which probably forces white to play something like this. Now I have to play something like this. King goes somewhere here. I can take there. It's far from being clear, of course. And queen can take on e5. Yeah, maybe that was a good way for white to play. Maybe even without playing g3, it was better. So to play this, I wanted to capture. Then, obviously, rook d8 first, bishop d8, then king e3. But I thought, okay, I'm definitely no worse here. And given that this king is quite vulnerable, I have good chances. Okay, so somehow I managed to play not that badly in this game. Okay, thanks a lot for being patient about this stupid episode. I know I played a lot of very bad games. It was just not my day, obviously. Next week I will try to be in a better, state of mind. I will try not to be that completely exhausted by learning process and so forth. So hopefully next week we'll have much better games. If you manage to learn something new, even, having these bad games of mine this time, I'm really, really happy. Wish you all the best and see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.